Okay, we are live. So it's episode 97 of Nansen Office Hours. Me and Martin are going to be looking at some of the resulting on-chain activity of this whole FTX and Alameda blow up. We will be putting out a report very shortly as well that goes into much more depth, looking at like the past activity of Alameda and FTX. So look out for that. Should be pretty amazing. Drop your GMs in the chat. Feel free to ask anything that you'd like. My fridge has just started making loads of noise, so hopefully you can't hear that. Before we start, if you're new to Office Hours, every Wednesday we do a Nansen and Chill session, look at new features. This time we are reacting to like a market meltdown, so hopefully we don't do that too often. Answer any questions from you, provide any alpha leaks, and yeah, so make sure that you subscribe. Turn notifications on if you want to sign up to Nansen and start looking at all of this yourself. We have a link below, so check that out. And I think that is about it. So, Martin, firstly, how are you?
GM. I guess like it's probably been the busiest week so far in crypto. But other than that, relatively unscathed by the whole FTX thing. Managed to actually withdraw all of my funds which I had on FTX. Shortly after I saw, I think Larry tweet about it or something. So I immediately just withdrew everything. Yeah, just better to be safe, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, because it's a big issue, right, in
Yeah.
Singapore, because FTX was quite the
Yeah.
dominant exchange. So
Yeah.
yes,
Like
luckily you got away.
Yeah, like it's like if I remember correctly, I think Singapore accounted for 5% of FTX's user base, and Singapore is such a small country. So for us to actually account for 5% of anything is pretty
Yeah.
massive here.
Okay, so let's start with, I think what we're going to look at first, I'll share your screen, is exchange flow. So this is a relatively new feature. I think it's been out for a couple of weeks now, which was perfect timing. It was only for VIP subscribers and obviously alpha, but now it is available to standard subscribers as well. So anyone that is a Nansen subscriber can now look at this feature. So do you want to start us off and kind of cover all of it and what we've been looking at, I guess, for the last 7 or so days?
Yeah, so I think exchange flows covers quite a few like areas. So there are three main tabs: tokens, wallets, and exchanges. But I think most people would only really focus on wallets and exchanges, especially when they want to track flows in and out from FTX or whatever exchange. So I think we'll just start with like exchanges first, since that's like the most straightforward tab. So basically here you can see the I guess the overall flows from any exchange which we are currently tracking across three different time periods. So we have 1 hour, 24 hours, and 7 days. So currently it's sorted by I guess largest net inflows. So over here you can see that these are the exchanges which has seen the largest net inflows in the last 7 days. Oh, and there's a disclaimer on this dashboard. So this dashboard only covers ERC20 tokens at this point in time. So you won't see Solana, you won't see Tron stuff. So it's purely ETH-based stuff. But
I think
yeah,
sorry, Martin, I think that's quite
yeah,
a significant point to make as well. Because like we did have discussions, for instance, with like KuCoin, and there's
yeah.
tons of USDT is on Tron, for instance, and obviously a lot of like BUSD is on BNB chain. So yeah, that's a good disclaimer to make. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I guess like ETH accounts probably for like the vast majority of most transactions anyway, except probably Tron. Tron is probably the only like main contender in terms of like stable coins. But other than that, ETH probably is a good maybe like 70% coverage of most activity. So I think so I think this is still a pretty good like dashboard, and I guess like you should also focus more on like relative flows instead of absolute numbers. So like so for example, let's say just looking at this really quickly, we see that crypto.com has the largest net inflow actually in the last 7 days, which is interesting to me. Yeah, but yeah, I guess people are really trusting crypto.com to a certain extent now. Uh, and you can also kind of see that on the first page at least. So we have like 20 different exchanges here. Most of the exchanges are actually kind of like really small localized type exchanges. So like Indodex, I think it's an Indonesian exchange. BTC Turk, I'm assuming it's a Turkish exchange. Yeah, so like based on what I see here, it's probably like larger exchanges are the ones that actually got hit the hardest, um, purely because of wider user base, and I think being like a global exchange, users are a lot more mercenary in, yeah, like they will probably like hop between exchanges quite easily. But for like localized exchanges, so like Innodex and BTC Turk, those users might not readily have access to actually other exchanges. So like let's say like the case in Singapore, right? Like we can't use Binance, for example, then now we can't use FTX. So we have crypto.com and other exchanges, but like I would imagine in other countries where regulation is much tighter, or I guess like access is much more difficult. They don't have that many options other than self custody. So it's probably why those exchanges aren't seeing as I guess aren't as badly affected by whatever speculation and whatever rumors that are going on.
I think they also obviously then don't have as much prominence on Twitter. So
Yeah,
if you are these well-known exchanges, you're obviously going to be talked about a lot. So obviously you're going to have a lot of flows. I thought it's
yeah,
interesting. So I thought earlier there hasn't been much mention of Gemini like at all on the timeline, but it's a large exchange. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why Gemini has kind of gone under the radar, but hopefully they're okay.
yeah. Actually, that's a really interesting point. Like Gemini is pretty prominent, and I think yeah, like somehow like Gemini hasn't been mentioned. Like Kraken has been in the
Yeah.
news quite a bit. Like yeah, every large major ex yeah, every large major exchange has been brought up in some way, shape, or form, whether good or bad. But Gemini, yeah, I don't recall ever seeing
Not at
anything
all. I
about
don't know
Gemini.
why. But yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Shall we look
Hmm.
at the other tabs as well? Yeah.
Yeah. So so I guess while I would recommend most people starting on the exchanges tab just to get like a really brief overview of how different exchanges are kind of like looking. If you want more granular info, so like for example, let me just quickly switch back. So if you see like crypto.com has, let me just change it to 24 hours. So it's a lot easier to do this. Okay, so like for example, you see crypto.com has large net inflows of about 109 million last 24 hours. So if you want more granular insights, you can go to the wallets tab. Um, so the wallet tab split is kind of split into two different tables. So we have the smart money table where it only showcases smart money transactions with various exchanges, whether deposits or withdrawals. Um, so so for example, okay, so this filter function is only for VIP, so it's not for standard. But I'm just gonna use it just because it's a lot easier. So if I filter the exchange by crypto.com, we can kind of see only like one smart money transaction in the last 24 hours, which is Wintermute. It's a multi-sig actually.
It's a weird token as well.
Yeah, it's a weird token. Yeah, could be like, okay, I don't know if Wintermute does market making on crypto.com, but or like some form of liquidity provision. Not sure. Yeah, but could be. Hmm, but it's a withdrawal. Yeah, no clue. Have to take a look at it later maybe. Yeah, but yeah. So if we go to all wallets, then we kind of get a more holistic overview of everything that's happening. Like which are the major withdrawals. So this table, important point to note is that it doesn't contain every single transaction because that would probably be millions of transactions. So we only put in the top 1,000 transactions by volume. Uh, and if I recall correctly, it is top 1,000 by volume, regardless of whether it is a deposit or withdrawal. So it's purely looking at the I guess the cash value of the transaction, not so much the direction. Yeah. So let's say crypto.com again. I guess like filter crypto.com. This is really interesting. Okay, so previously we saw crypto.com had like 109 million net inflows, but on this table we kind of see it only like every transaction is like relatively small. So
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe it was
yeah,
7 days on that other table and it just wasn't updated to 24.
let's see. Let me just reload this. So this is
Oh, I don't know why there's that massive
Yeah.
net flow then.
Okay, so best guess is somehow like a bunch of like smaller traders sent it in. So each individual transaction isn't very large, so it wasn't captured. But yeah, probably to dig in deeper into that to really see what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that would be my best guess, which would kind of, I guess, line up in a certain way with crypto.com's user base. So uh, just jumping quickly over to like portfolio. So we actually have I guess like a portfolio view of crypto.com's. We have a subset of crypto.com's customer deposit addresses based on whatever they have given to us. So we have a view of their holdings here. And
This is
yeah,
free as well, so anyone
yeah,
can use Nansen Portfolio. It's free, and if you want to find like these token holdings, you can go on the entities tab on the left, and then we've got all of them available there.
yeah. So this has probably like made the news quite a couple of times already. So crypto.com has like a large amount of sheep holdings. So this so this doesn't mean that crypto.com is like speculating on sheep. This purely just means that customers on crypto.com have somehow they really like the token. So
Hmm.
yeah, so a lot of them are actually holding on to sheep, hence why crypto.com has a bunch of sheep as customer deposits slash customer holdings. So and just by looking at this, it's quite easy to infer that crypto.com's general audience is very retail heavy,
Hmm.
very individual user heavy. So that might also explain why we see why there's a large amount of inflows, but none of them really landing on this particular tab. So it could be really like a massive amount of individual users depositing like less than a couple 100,000. So it's not captured here.
Hmm. And crypto.com is only on mobile, right? There's no desktop website.
I think they do have a desktop website, but it's at least the last time I've used it, which was I think 1.5 years ago, it wasn't like really developed yet. Things might have changed, not too sure. But I think
Yeah. Okay.
primarily it's just a mobile app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we look at as well, because we have that 30 days. So I'm trying to figure out if 7 days would actually cover all of it. So if we then go on 30 days there and then like filter by the exchange, I think we actually have Alameda down as an exchange for the sake of this table, but we could look at FTX and Alameda as well if it would load.
Yeah, so 30 days is gonna take a while, purely because it's a much larger data set.
You might need to refresh that one, I would imagine. So this is like what we've been looking at. So me and Martin, if you're following us on Twitter, this table has been like super helpful for understanding what's been going on. So here we go now.
Oh yeah, we have Alameda. Okay. Yeah, so last 30 days. Yeah, you can kind of see most of the large. Yeah, let's just see withdrawals. Yeah, so yeah, we can kind of see like really seeing massive withdrawals out in the last 30 days with very large size. So some of these withdrawals, yeah, so like for example, this one was the OX2. I think it's the hackers or at least the alleged hackers address.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can kind of see it all labeled really nicely here. You can see Jump also got out quite a bit of money. But
Hmm.
for market making firms, numbers might not really mean a ton because they usually deposit in withdrawal. They usually have higher volumes of deposits and withdrawals on a day-to-day basis anyway. So not like the most like accurate indicator
I
of
think
them earning rate.
for like market makers like Jump, I
Yeah.
think it's important to just have like a longer time horizon. So there, that is significantly like weird because there's a huge amount of withdrawals and not that many deposits.
Yeah.
So when this was first happening, actually, someone asked me like, "Is this unusual or something?" on Twitter, and at the time I didn't think it was. Like I see Jump doing this type of thing all the time, but then actually once you look at it now, like in a longer time frame and with
Yeah.
the context of them actually probably knowing that FTX were going to die, then obviously, yeah, it becomes more weird. But you definitely have to look at, so people like Wintermute,
Yeah.
Genesis, their Jump Trading, you have to look at like a longer time horizon. But even there, you can see all of them. Wintermute is net 200 million out, Genesis, net 200 million. Well, just under actually. But yeah, so it's definitely unusual.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, yeah, like Cumberland 150. Yeah, these are really large withdrawals, like very large net withdrawals. So let's see what's the next. Yeah. Yeah, I guess this is like a really good example of what a typical like market making kind of activity would kind of look like. You will see relatively like similar deposit and withdrawal volumes purely because they will move in, move out, move in, move out. So like what Alex mentioned earlier, if you see like really one-sided type activity, it's probably a sign of like something going down, and a lot of them like probably just want to get out. And another interesting entity which we have noticed during this whole period is actually Nexo. So right when news started breaking out, I think on 7 November, maybe 6, I think 6 to 8 November, Nexo actually withdrew, I think in total, I think 200 over million worth of like ETH and USDC or USDT. So Nexo was actually one of the few entities that we actually saw very very early and very very clear large withdrawals from FTX. Um, and I guess that makes a lot of sense because like for example if you are Nexo, do you really want like very high counterparty risk when you have like thousands of like stakeholders that you have to like, answer to, and yeah, so and I think at the end of the day, if you just have to practice proper risk management, even if there's like a really small chance that something might go wrong, you probably don't want to stick around to actually find out. So Nexo was actually one of the more prominent entities that we saw massive withdrawals.
I think luckily as well, I think it was quite a good sign from them
Yeah.
because they were like maybe overly careful or whatever. I think they were, like Martin said, they were one of the first to get a load of money out. It
Yeah.
wasn't even like particularly clear what was happening at that point. So they obviously knew they needed to get everything off to be like super careful. So I thought that was good. So yeah, I think this is like majority of this exchange flows. Oh no, should we go on tokens? We haven't done
Yeah,
that
sure.
yet.
Yeah, so the tokens tab is really useful just to kind of like get an overview of the flow of individual tokens. So okay, so this has three tables. So one is all of smart money. So smart money encompasses like multiple different aspects or multiple different types of wallets, I guess. So one is wallets that have I guess performed really really well in a specific type of activity. So it could be NFT trading, it could be DEX trading, it could be airdrops, for example. So that's one type. The other type are like funds, institutions, uh, I guess like really large and sophisticated entities per se, not so much like individuals. So this particular table captures all of smart money. So every single wallet which we have tagged as a smart money wallet, which I think is at I think 5,000 wallets now or something along those lines. Yeah. So this one
Yeah, I
is
think so.
pure. Yeah. Like so, this one is purely like funds and market makers activity. But I think the table that most people will be interested in would probably be the all wallets activity. especially when they want to track the current events. You just want to get a good overview of, I guess, like which are the main tokens that are seeing flows in and out of various exchanges. Which are the tokens that I guess some people kind of see it as which tokens can I withdraw most successfully, I guess. Yeah, that's like one way that people have been like interpreting it. So
Luna Classic on Ethereum. Click on that. Let's go on Token God mode. Let's
Yeah.
see. That was an inflow as well.
Yeah.
Wrapped Luna Classic. Maybe the price is skewed or something. No way that they've got 30 million of that.
I have to go last 30 days. Doesn't seem to be. No idea. Let's see exchanges.
I don't think anyone has 34 million Luna Classic. So I doubt it. We can look at something else. What else do we have? TUSD. What is TUSD?
Oh, it's Coinbase.
Oh, okay.
I think largely Coinbase at least. Yeah. Yeah, change 7 days. Looks like there's a degen that shifted. Oh, yeah, probably do a deep dive later on. Yeah, TUSD, Gala, Curve, Convex. But so this is last 7 days. Last 7 days net flows, like this is okay. I don't have the numbers for like a average 7 day period, but just looking at this, so you have exchanges with like billions of dollars worth of customer deposits, and we're only seeing like on the first page, we're only seeing like less than $1 million worth of inflows for a token. So that kind of like tells you that there hasn't been a large amount of net inflows of ERC20 tokens at least into exchanges. And if you want to like confirm it real quick, you just click this, which will then sort it the other way around. And yeah, you can see most of the major tokens, ETH and all of the various stablecoins, are seeing like really insane amounts of net outflows. So FTT, you should probably like ignore it for the sake of this exercise, because obviously the hacker got out a bunch. FTX, so you can kind of like ignore this token for now. But yeah, you can kind of see Matic, Link, DAI. Yeah, it's all seeing like insane amounts of outflows here, and we can also see that reflected really easily on the home page. So let me just.
I think it's important as well because there's been so many like movements going on. I think everyone relates everything to like exchanges going under or something. But actually, naturally, seeing loads of tokens come off of exchanges is usually quite a good thing, because you'd assume that maybe they're buying and then moving the tokens to cold storage.
Yeah.
So if you see a load of ERC20 tokens, really high net withdrawals, it might actually be a good thing. It might have been like people have put money on to then buy this crash and then moving it back into their cold storage. Someone says weird pump in AXS, so AXI. I think that was because of someone's, is it called your API keys on Binance? I think they got leaked or something. Yeah. So this user, their keys got leaked, or somehow someone got a hold of them. And then bought $1 million worth of AXI without, they didn't mean to do that basically. So that was the weird, that was the weird pub in AXI. And then CVX, I'm being so stupid, right? What is CVX? Curve?
Convex.
Apparently that has gone up a load as well. I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I actually haven't taken a look at Convex in probably like 6 months. Also,
Okay, let's look at, so we're doing a lot. Let's look at stablecoin master, shall we next?
Yeah. So for those that might not be so familiar with our platform, so this is the landing page that you'll see once you are logged in. And basically this landing page tries to give you a really good overview of whatever is happening in the crypto markets, be it tokens or NFTs. So like what we were mentioning earlier, we are seeing like massive outflows of like ETH and stablecoins from various exchanges, and it's all really visible in these two tables right here. Let me try and fit it. Okay, I can't fit it into the screen, but yeah, so you can see it in these two like charts here. Stablecoin exchange flows, you can see it's like down only. It's kind of reflecting the broader crypto. It almost looks like a shit coins like price chart or something. It's like just straight down only. It's at like a 5-month low. Yeah, stablecoin balances on exchanges. So we can take a look at that a bit deeper now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so it's pretty much down only the past.
It looks like the lunar price chart.
Yeah,
But yeah, there actually, I think it's worth noting though. It actually looks a lot worse than maybe it is. So if you look, it's gone down from like 47 billion to 43.5 because the blue line is showing balances. So how much is that? Like 4 billion stablecoins have gone off exchanges, which obviously is significant, but maybe there looks like, it looks like a chart going to zero, which it isn't.
Yeah, so it's about like it's just like a 10% move, but it kind of looks like a 99% downtrend. But yeah, so then accompanying that chart, we have a more like granular look of the flows from various individual exchanges. So for when we say exchanges, we do also include dexes. So you can see like Uniswap is here, Curve Finance, DYDX. Yeah, so you can kind of sort it by last 7 days change. Yeah, so
Well, I think it's worth mentioning just quickly as well. So we do have a lot of exchange labels, but like obviously we might be missing some. So for instance, Coinbase does a lot of movements, like tons of movements. So we don't always have their like newest wallets labeled. So some of these balances might be not entirely like the full picture, because we might be missing some labels. But yeah.
So I think that's a really good point to make for I guess for the platform in general. So we do have the best coverage across like any other platform out there, but even then it's extremely difficult to have 100% coverage of any entity out there in crypto, purely because it's really really easy to actually hide activity. So like you can view all of these numbers as a relative gauge of flows of tokens, and it usually will be a subset of a entities like I guess like total token holdings in general. But if any exchange is somehow listening to this, and if you guys want to hand us all of your wallets, feel free to do so, and we can have like better coverage over or I guess over whatever's happening. Yeah. So if we sort it by largest 7-day outflows or stables, once again we see like the larger few exchanges: Binance, OKX, Kraken, Gemini. Yeah, actually Coinbase has really small amounts relative to their size. Yeah, Curve Finance could really be the whole UST triple thing that I'm not like super like I don't keep track of that like all the time. Yeah, but usually in periods of like crisis, the triple gets drained of UST, so that could be USDT. So that could be like one reason. Had to check on that. But yeah, and if we see positive change, once again, Crypto.com is leading the way, which is really really interesting to see given the recent allegations which people have like thrown out against them. So I guess it's a sign that like in general, like I guess people have some level of faith and trust in Crypto.com. This is not an endorsement from Crypto.com. So like I'm just purely inferring from whatever I see on the charts.
I think it's interesting, looking at all this data, how many exchanges there are. Like there's
Yeah.
exchanges you've never heard of, or at least
Yeah.
I've never heard of. I think it's also so I put a tweet out the other day, like with all this centralized exchange mayhem happening. Um, hopefully, also then it kind of gives people a push into these decentralized exchanges more. So there was like a record USD, what was it, USDC users on Uniswap, I think it was.
Yep.
Is that what we've got there? Yeah.
Yep.
And then also we had a look at like the entity billboard, and DeFi usage was on the up. Oh, you're a genius, Martin. You've got everything ready. So yeah, hopefully this whole blow up is actually quite a good, and to me, it's a really good example of why we need decentralization, because we don't want like these centralized authorities having access to all of our money, and it's also transparent and run by code. I saw some good quote the other day. It was like humans lie, code doesn't, or something like that. But I thought that was pretty good. So I think there's tons of lessons, and ironically, a lot of hopefully long-term benefits from this, which we can already see playing out there. So like DYDX user change is up 98%, compound 40%. So all of this is quite promising.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you put out a tweet, I think 2 days ago maybe, that we are seeing one of the largest weekly on-chain stablecoin volumes ever. So I think I can see
Oh yeah.
it here, volume.
1 year, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can see that last week was the second largest week in terms of like in terms of stablecoin on-chain volume. The only other week which was higher was the whole Luna UST DPEG situation. So yeah, like people are definitely moving activity more, like they're actually moving off exchanges, and they're actually kind of like playing around on chain more. But I guess like the only thing that I'm not too sure about is how long this will actually last. Because like in general, people have really, really short memories, and like so I think we will continue to monitor it and see if, I guess, if this is just a start of I guess like of a larger movement towards on-chain activity, or is this just a temporary shift that's happening purely because people are so afraid now, and maybe in like a week or two people start to like somehow forget everything, and then they move everything back to exchanges. So I think that would be really interesting for us to actually keep track of.
Mm-hmm. I think there needs to be like improved fiat on ramps onto like DeFi and DEXs, and once that happens, hopefully it's like a big shift. So I think Circle, right, yesterday put out something to do with like Apple Pay. I read it, but they didn't go into that much detail from their initial introduction. But if it could be possible, yeah, to like swap fiat into USDC or whatever using Apple Pay, that'd be crazy. And then from there, you could then use DEXs and DeFi. We just need to improve, I think, UX. I think fees are higher, right, on DEXs often. So hopefully we get like more of a shift that way. At least I'm sure for definite you're going to have centralized exchanges. There's still a place for that, because like the everyday user doesn't know how to use a DEX. But I think hopefully there's like more of a shift and more of even just more of an understanding of why we need decentralized exchanges now. So yeah, like I said, I think there's a lot to take from this. So it's not all negatives. I think far from it, actually.
Yeah, like we definitely need better on ramps, because like as of now, most of us probably unable to actually access like crypto natively. So we always need a on ramp. So I guess for us working in crypto, we do have the ability to actually get our salaries in crypto. But for the vast majority of people out there, they would have to use a centralized entity to actually on ramp their like whatever funds they want to bring into crypto. So I guess like once that gets improved, we'll probably see more like crypto native activity going on, which would be really exciting and really interesting to actually see.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what other tabs shall we cover next? Do you want to look at? I don't know if you've got the tab up. Do you have the portfolio of that FTX Exploiter? Because it might be interesting to people.
I might need to. get it out. Wait.
If you go, have you got Twitter open? If you just go
Yes.
on the portfolio Twitter account, it will be the top tweet. There you go. Okay, so this is, and I think the reason I put the tweet out yesterday is because I think there was like various wallets for this proposed alleged exploiter. So I think they like consolidated all the funds into this one wallet now. So if you want to look at it yourself, of course, you can go on the portfolio Twitter account. We just put a tweet out about it yesterday. So you can look at all these funds. So now I think crazily they're like, someone replied, I can't remember the exact number, but they're one of the top Ethereum holders, like out of anyone now, with like $250 million in ETH. Is it like top 60? It might even be higher than that.
I think it's top 32, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And then also a lot of the tweets that I've been seeing about it are just showing like the Ethereum assets. So that is why Nansen portfolio is amazing, because I think we have more coverage, more multi-chain coverage than anyone. Hopefully that's right. Don't quote me on it. So we therefore show, so you can look there, BNB, they've got 30 million of BNB and a load of DAI on BNB chain as well. USDT on Avalanche, all of these scammy tokens. But most of it has gone now into ETH. So who knows what they're going to do. Hopefully they're not going to dump it. It seems interesting to me. If they were going to dump it, I'm not entirely sure why they'd be putting it into Ethereum. So maybe they're just thinking, who knows, like realistically, are they going to be able to get any of this money anyway? But maybe they're figuring they want to put all of it into ETH because they're bullish on ETH as the exploiter. So who knows? But yeah, if you want to keep track of it, you can. I think transactions tab should be loading now. If you click on it, we did stop the transactions tab just so that we could like manage all of these exchange token holdings portfolios, but it looks like it is back up. Is that back up? 16th of November. Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
So some reason they're receiving really tiny amounts of Matic from some wallet. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, you can look through. And this actually is a good point. So you're logged in, right? Yeah. So this is readable transactions.
Actually.
Or is it not?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you are. Okay. So he's logged in, so you can see all the readable transactions here. So it shows like labels and everything. So yeah, this is our amazing feature. If you're not logged in, you can still see transactions, just not with labels, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, still really good feature. Okay, that is the exploiter address ticked off. Let's look at now. How much time have we got actually? 20 minutes. Okay, let's look at, what should we look at? ETH Tracker. We could do smart money, smart alerts. Should we cover smart alerts? Because that was your amazing work that you set up, that Telegram chat and everything. So let's have a look at that.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, when FTX paused withdrawals, and then there were rumors of people being able to actually withdraw a couple of days later. So when that actually happened, I set up a Smart Alerts Telegram channel, which actually sends, I guess more or less like real time. It gives you real time alerts to actually whatever transactions which are happening based on whatever parameters which you have set up for the alert. So let me just click on this. Okay, so this is the particular smart alert which I set up for FTX withdrawals. Yeah, so you can basically pick the network which you want to actually track. So currently we have support for, I think, about 10. It's about 10 different chains, but I've set it up only for ETH. Mostly because like ETH really accounts for a really large portion of whatever activity that's going on. So I just wanted to kind of like keep it like clean and simple. And Yeah, so I just set it all to like simple alerts. So alerts are triggered block by block. So we will get a alert for a transaction whenever a block actually occurs for ETH, which is every like couple of seconds. So it's almost real time essentially. And yeah, I set it for like token transfers because I wanted to kind of remove as much noise as possible. I really wanted to actually keep it strictly for and solely for FTX withdrawals only. And then I keyed in FTX's main withdrawal address, which I think by now is very prominent. It's OX2FA, and yeah, I think we search FTX OX2FA or something, it probably comes out pretty
Yep.
quickly. Yeah, so that is FTX's main withdrawal address. And yeah, so I excluded this particular token. So this token is FTT V2IO or something along those lines. So basically, this is a scam token that I don't really understand what actually occurs, but it's something to do with like spoofing. Yeah, it's basically a scam token that
Yep.
kind of like drains your wallet if you interact with the contract. So I just excluded that, and then I sent it to
For
Telegram.
people that are looking like at these on-chain things, so there was that tweet, right, which we're not going to mention, but which was like clearly not right. So if you just went on Etherscan and looked at the ERC20 tokens that are being transferred, you can see it yourself. And almost always, when a token doesn't have a logo on Etherscan, and if it's called like something like whatever FTX, I hate Sam or whatever it was called, you can pretty much guarantee that's obviously not a real token, or it's at least a really low volume kind of scammy token. So yeah,
Yeah,
someone put a great thread out actually on how to read on-chain activity. I should remember who it is, but you can go and have a look at that because I think it's really important to actually understand what's going on.
yeah, yes, yeah, and smart alerts is actually like a really really good way to actually keep track of whatever's happening on chain. Purely because like most people don't have the time to actually stare at like no one has the time to actually keep track like all the time. So if you have smart alert setup, you can kind of get real time alerts sent to you, either Telegram, Discord, Slack. So that kind of like does the monitoring for you, and then all you have to do is just react. And it's a really underrated feature that a lot of people don't actually like talk about or actually really utilize. And one other example where smart alerts was like really really useful was the USTD pack. We actually had users that actually set alerts for the curve pool, which had UST in it. So when they actually saw large amounts of withdrawals, and they actually started to also then withdraw and cash out whatever UST, whatever Luna exposure they had. Yeah, so that in itself would have probably paid for a annual subscription or more. Yeah, so
Yeah,
smart
definitely.
alerts itself, yeah, it's definitely like a really really useful underrated feature.
I think for smart alerts as well, you can actually just set. So if you don't want to put in individual wallets, wallet addresses, you
Oh
can just
yes,
set a entity
yeah,
label. So for instance, you could have just put Alameda, you could have just put FTX, but obviously, like Martin mentioned, the thing with that is then you might get a ton of notifications
yeah,
because then it covers all of their wallets. So it's kind of up to you. You can narrow down into like specific tokens or go like more broad and look at entities in general.
yeah.
So yeah, that is smart alerts. Because we're going to run out of time, let's quickly move to ETH Tracker. Let's look at ETH Tracker.
Yeah. So for ETH, you're seeing like similar trend as stablecoins, massive withdrawals. So the thing about ETH on exchanges is that it's actually been on a downtrend for quite a while already, because of ETH2, and people want to stake in like Lido, for example, or if they have 32 ETH, they can stake directly themselves. So if you look at this chart, right, we're actually seeing consistent outflows actually ever since like June, July, and it only spiked back up because of the merge. I guess like people were like hedging, or people were wanted to actually de-risk. Um, but right after the merge, we saw a similar trend, gradual outflows until last week, where it basically like just like we saw people really started to actually withdraw tons of ETH from exchanges. Yeah, and we actually have the top ETH balances here, but it only goes to the top 15. So if we actually made it like the top 50 or something, we would actually probably see the the FTX Exploiter right here.
If we go up slightly as well, so because we don't have, like, you can't put ETH into token god mode. What's the explanation why? Because we're not a block explorer, but we do. Yeah.
So the main reason, based on what I understand, is that if like native ETH itself is not ERC20,
Yeah.
and transfers are accounted for in a different manner compared to ERC20 tokens, which then makes it really difficult to actually account and track for. So hence, that's the long story short.
Yeah. So, but because of that, anyway, if you go up one more, we do have top transactions. So you can filter them by like volume, you can filter by time, and see what's going on with like large ETH transactions.
Yeah, you can kind of see. So recent, kind of see people interacting with Aves contract that
They're just wrapping ETH, I think. Yeah.
jump as well. Yeah.
So when all of this was going on, obviously, then you can use this to see like the ETH that was going on to various exchanges like FTX. So at the moment, of course, nothing is going on FTX, or at least I hope not. And I don't think anything is coming out of it either. But yeah, you can still see. So if you go through a couple more pages, actually, on that table, go to like second page, Martin, on top transactions.
Oh, okay.
What else do we have? More jump stuff. A lot of people talking about a jump, saying like, "I'll jump insolvent" or whatever. From what I've seen, Jump seem to have a ton of money. So anyone that's a Nansen user, they have a lot of wallets though, so you can go through. But Jump, some reason, as we've seen, you're never too big to fail, and you can never tell who's actually got a ton of money. But it would appear that they are fine. And Jump Jump trading or Jump crypto is an arm of a larger company anyway. Yeah, so you'd be hopeful that Jump should be okay. But you just never know. You never know nowadays. Don't trust anything. That's top transactions and ETH Tracker. What else have we got? What could we switch up for the end? Let's do NFTs.
Yeah, sure. So for NFTs, mostly like pretty boring. But we actually saw hedges, which is a DYDX NFT, see like really strong volume and price change. So you can see it was basically like hovering around 0.2 to 0.35 ETH. Then when the whole FTX debacle happened, and then we saw like volume shoot up, price flew all the way up to it almost like more or less 2x. It's come down slightly, but yeah. And if I recall correctly, hedges gives you benefit on when you trade on DYDX or something along those lines. So this is also like another indicator that some these like people have a level of interest with interacting with DEXs, or could just be a speculative play. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is an interesting sign. If we look at NFT Paradise, so we can have a good overview of what's happening in the NFT space. Looks like bot apes are cool again. Yeah,
they've rebounded surprisingly. If we give it some time to load, though, we could look at the different time frames, because I think the 7-day is quite interesting. Because we can see, I think the problem with NFTs, as we have witnessed, is I think NFTs usually are like subsidiary to your larger portfolio. So what has sadly happened, I would guess, is a lot of people had money on FTX, they've lost all of that, and now what they've been left with is their NFTs, which are more like, I don't know how to explain it. In my head, that NFTs are always more extravagant purchases. They're higher risk, I guess. So you end up with all of this and not the money that you used to have. So I think there was a lot of liquidations going on. I think it was that NFT statistics put out a good chart, right? That tons of Raptor ETH offers were being accepted, which is completely fair enough as well. I think it's, if you just lost a ton of money on an exchange that you trusted, obviously you're probably going to liquidate your NFTs. So we can see here, if you sort by market cap, I think it's more interesting. So we can see the top collections. Then floor 7 days. Yeah, so Bored Apes actually, didn't Bored Apes go down to like 50 ETH?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so they've
lowest I saw.
rebounded. Yeah, but you can see a lot of the other collections. So Other Deeds are down bad. I think they were even more down bad than that. What else have we got? Doodles, I know, took quite a hit. So Doodles are only 5.9 ETH now.
Oh wow.
Moonbird 7.5. I think CloneX are down, but not down too bad, because there's been some noise, right, about Nike stuff going on. Yeah.
But I think generally, if we just like look at volumes, like if we just look at last 7 days volume, extremely low liquidity in general. So like top 20 collections barely, is just shy of 400 ETH, which is like super low. So it's pretty clear that it's more or less consolidated to the top few collections, and it's all like names that everyone's familiar with.
Yeah, I think the volume as well is kind of misrepresentative, in a way that I think a lot of it is just selling. So there's a lot of people, like I said, like accepting offers or selling at the floor and stuff like this. So it's not really like appetite from buyers. I think it's more,
makes sense.
desperation from sellers, I guess. Should we look at who's buying Bored Apes? Let's have some positive news. Who's buying stuff?
Franklin.
It might be.
It's 50 ETH.
Wow.
Right on the dot. Yeah,
If you
like
go on trades,
I'm assuming like there were a bunch of like just like bought offers at like 50 ETH or something, and then like that kind of like saved the floor to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's like a psychological support, I guess.
Yeah.
50 ETH.
Okay. Yeah, so small handful. Oh. Trade booming. But that's like a while back.
Yeah. If you go on the trades tab, it'll be easier to understand. Yeah. I think it probably needs to refresh.
Yep.
I think it's quite amazing though, really. Like all of this happening. I think I'm going to jinx all of this, right? So I'm so sorry, everyone. But I think ETH holding up relatively well is quite amazing. I think the fact that people are still buying NFTs for like $80,000 when an exchange, like major exchange, just went under, and obviously the economy is terrible anyway. So there's still money around. There's still people who think these are good buys. There's still liquidity. So I think it is promising, and I think I wasn't here for like last bear market, but I definitely don't think that this was happening. Like such high engagement, even on Twitter, and then the fact that people are still spending all this money, and now we have NFTs, obviously, which makes it a lot more enjoyable, I think, and probably a big factor to why there are so many people still on Twitter. But yeah, here are the buyers. There's no like sweeps, it doesn't look like then, unless we've got Blur now as well, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think we officially announced it yet, but we have support for Blur now. So that's always cool.
Blue chip NFT holder. I don't know if that's the same person coming up a few times, but it might be a different wallet.
Yeah, it's all different wallets. Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like people were waiting for 50.
Yeah.
And then thought, okay, I'm going to buy the dip. And it seemed like everyone was thinking that. Someone sold one for 0.1. That's probably wash trading, is it? Yeah.
It's too.
I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, really weird.
Interestingly, not that many smart money buyers.
Yeah.
Just one, right, so far that we've seen. Yeah, a couple sellers.
Yeah.
Jimmy
the
bought
last-
loads last week.
Yeah. Damn, it's down bad.
350 ETH. He sold that punk though, right? I think that's the
Yeah.
reason. Didn't he sell one for some ridiculous amount?
Yeah. It basically feels like there isn't any new money coming in. It's really just like whales selling whatever they already own and then swapping to other NFTs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more like it's just like the same amount of money cycling through like just a small handful of collections.
Yeah.
Instead of like new, like real fresh cash coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone says Ben Dow is having an influence for sure, but I am a Ben Dow noob, so I don't really understand how it works. It seems like Ben Dow is always causing the inevitable collapse, but it doesn't quite. I don't know. No Franklin buys then. Actually, I think he has two wallets. One of them might not be smart money labeled. I think you'd have to type the whole thing. Yes. Put a @ symbol before it. I think we have it tagged as @. Or Franklin's gone under the radar. We're not showing it somehow. How is that possible?
He's hiding.
He's definitely been buying or selling, I'm sure.
Oh.
I've seen the tweets.
Same. Yeah, I have no idea.
Somehow Franklin's hidden on our dashboard. How's that happening? Franklin is an interesting one actually, because he managed to get off like $500,000 from FTX in like the last second of withdrawals or something. Yeah, Journey says he's been selling, so I don't know why he's not showing up. Actually, it gives me a good time to show. I just did a unsupervised episode of Franklin. If you want to hear about Franklin's journey into Bored Ape infamousy and crypto Twitter prominence, it's a really, really interesting story. So go and listen to that. Okay, what else should we cover? 24-hour purchases. This always makes me feel happy. Okay, people are still spending loads of money. That's what you want to see. Everyone's buying punks. They're braver than I am, for sure.
Yeah, like punks have really achieved a really strong level of Lindy effect, I guess. Like they just won't disappear, and you can see it's like they're still going super strong.
Yeah, you like to see it. It's good.
Yeah.
Someone says, how many retweets for a month of Nansen Alpha? No way. You want to pay for Nansen with retweets? That is an ambitious ask. Okay. But we might do some giveaways or something though, so make sure you enter those when they come out. Okay, what else have we got? We've actually got 2 minutes left, so probably don't have time for anything else. Look at that volume. Terrible. But you can see Blur, actually. This is a good time to just quickly look at Blur showing up there.
Yeah, so
if you filter by Blur, Martin, in the top left.
Down.
That's a confusing chart for everyone.
Okay. So I think the reason why it looks really weird is because...
Oh, it's weekly, that's why.
Yeah, and hopefully once... okay. Yeah, it's weekly, and...
So we just got gaps.
Yeah, so if you switch to other marketplaces, you won't see this issue because we have many, many weeks worth, and then it just fills up the whole thing. But Blur is new, so kind of but I'll feedback to the product team on this. Yeah, because it looks really weird.
Jody says filter by wash trade. Surely we've got wash trade filter on.
Do I?
We do, yeah.
So wait, does
you want to take it off, Journey?
Take it off, or
Journey wants it? Yeah, some reckless data. I don't know why. Let's look further down. We've got 1 minute, so we speed run through Blur. Users per hour on the up.
Yeah. So
after very
yeah,
low last
I
week.
think this is probably like the most useful chart.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, we can see the number of buyers, number of returning buy, number of first-time buyers. Sorry, number of first-time buyers, number of returning buyers on Blur. Really interesting to see that returning buyers basically on a decent uptrend in general.
Hmm.
So if this continues, and it looks like relatively healthy to a certain degree as well. It's not like a hockey stick, kind of like it's trading quite well, like backtesting support and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think they've
so
got that airdrop, right? So it's
yeah,
quite a clever strategy. You like promise an airdrop that's coming eventually,
yeah,
so that people continue to trade. I think it's like an airdrop dependent on your trading activity. So
yeah,
it's very smart marketing. But yeah, we have run out of time, Martin. Let
yeah.
me mention quickly, so I don't forget. Um, we have a report coming out. I don't know if I can say the day because I think it is definite, but I don't want to promise and then we move it or something. But it should be very, very soon. We should have a report coming out which is much more in depth, and we're going to be looking at like past activity of Alameda and FTX, how they ended up in this point. I've had a look at the draft, and it is amazing, really, really amazing. So we should have that coming out very soon. Make sure you're following the Nansen account so you don't miss it. I think we're all excited for that. I saw the Coinbase CEO put out a good tweet, right? Like normally journalists have to take all this time to write all these like fluffy articles or whatever, but the beauty of crypto is you have all this on-chain activity that you can then quickly look at. So you can paint all these stories with facts, which is amazing. So yeah, look out for that. Make sure that you subscribe if you want to start using all these features. So, like we said, exchange flows, which has been a big feature of the last week, is now available to standard subscribers. So, any Nansen subscriber can use it. If you want to track entities like exchanges, and we should put out a tweet later about DeFi protocols as well, looking at their tokens. If you want to do all of that, amazingly, all of that is for free on Nansen Portfolio. So go and use Portfolio as well for free. Hopefully, it gives you a taste as well of like what Nansen is like, and then maybe you want to be amazing and subscribe to the Nansen product as well. Um, so yeah, I think that's it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn notifications on so you don't miss any future episodes. Check out the link in the description if you want to sign up to Nansen. I've probably already said that, and that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully, everyone is okay. It's been a terrible week. Hopefully you didn't lose loads of money, and hopefully mentally you're feeling all right. Make sure that you go outside, eat some nice food, talk to your friends. Don't always be in this crypto world, which I'm trying not to do as well, which is difficult. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and bye bye.